in the alpha, we just got a really strange Garrosh questline that for some reason retcons a ton of the established lore. Apparently, all these years since the famous mak'gora, Garrosh is still around with that giant elemental hand and the orcs absolutely despise him. Despite the fact that the mak'gora had to escape the light invasion in BFA and they were exiles and everything, it appears they're just living normally in Nagrand even to this day, which questions the entire narrative and the Yrel light army. Furthermore, seeing how bad the orcs really were at some points in their history, blaming it all on Garrosh and like how he's the worst thing that ever happened in their history is a really strange turn of events. So let's check out this questline and what is going on. While having the best deals on the market for all games and software, Gamivo just added mobile top-ups for your favorite mobile games with the best prices that you can get with my Gamivo link in the description below. Best of all, if you use my code DORON, your discount will be even bigger, so make sure to use my link in the description and the code and check out Gamivo. So, we got a really strange and kinda unexpected questline in the Midnight Alpha with a few more scenarios like this, but this one is honestly kinda wild, and aside from the retcons to what was previously written, it is a strange choice for Blizzard to do this entire thing. Last time we got Garrosh was actually in the Shadowlands, but I think he may legit be gone for good. Like we just got in the alpha updated lore for the Shadowlands, where Svanna's confirmed that the Shadowlands are a fake timeline, that souls can go past it, aka to the real afterlife that exists, so it's a big change. But seeing that Garrosh was literally turned into ash, his soul might be fully destroyed. However, now we go back to the end of the Worlds of Draenor. This is essentially the follow-up for now the decade-old cinematic of that famous mak'gora between Garrosh and Troll. We have the Argentina questline in the Midnight Alpha, where we talk with Gorgona and Gammon, and while talking about the previous leaders of the Horde, they remember the unpleasant memory of Garrosh, and they want us to go to Nagrand to bring torn pieces from his grave as proof that this evil is truly gone. Now, before we get into it, I think Blizzard may be going a little bit overboard with this. I don't know how familiar you are with this, since as you might have missed the video I released a few months back, but we actually got a really interesting insight from Dave Cossack, that was one of the OG Blizzard devs. He told us that villain batting Garrosh actually kinda came out of nowhere. This was like an unexpected decision. He was originally supposed to be like this troubled individual, but like good and honorable in his heart. Like you remember when he threw that guy, his commander. Even in the mak'gora he had with Cairn, who by the way challenged him himself, it wasn't the other way around. He was really pissed when he learned that he indirectly cheated because Magatak had poisoned his blade. However, in Cataclysm, Blizzard went a bit overboard with the Barons and the Alliance destruction, so they decided they have to make it up to the Alliance, and they slowly just started turning Garrosh into a madman, which culminated in like the Siege of Orgrimmar. This development is very sudden. It was a very sudden turn. I mean, Garrosh was a character from TBC, a really troubled one, a son left by his father, the chieftain of the Warsong clan Gromash, and he was like stuck on a dying planet with nothing good going for him. He had a bit of a temperament, but he did do pretty well in Northrend. There is a reason Troll thought he would be a good choice for a war chief, but since Mists of Pandaria, this guy just went absolutely insane trying to conquer the world and exterminate the people that he didn't see in his perfect vision for Azeroth. Now, let's get back to this new questline, because I feel like it not only like triples down on this original mistake, but it also raises a whole ton of new inconsistencies. So for some absolutely crazy reason, we go to Altered Draenor in the current day, and we go back to the location where Garrosh was defeated by the elements when Troll called upon them. We see that he's still stuck in that hand, which is crazy since it's been like 30 years since then. But it's not the fact that this guy is still chilling in that position when really he should be a skeleton by this point. But the really weird part is that this is happening on Altered Draenor, which is so weird. I mean, if you guys remember the BFA storyline, we learned that Altered Draenor was mainly overtaken by the Light Army and Yrel, and the orcs went through like a big war, and there was even a speculation that the planet was ultimately destroyed, like the Altered Draenor doesn't exist. The Magar literally ran through that portal as fast as possible to join us when they became a playable race, because the planet was on the brink of destruction. Yet like 10 years later, Nagrand looks exactly the same as it did, and we learned that the Warsong hate Garrosh so much that they sometimes visit the site just to spit on his grave. Which, aside from the weird hate, this makes it weird because it implies that these guys are just like living here peacefully, which kind of completely retcons the fact that they were literally exiles back in BFA. However, let's look at the questline. So apparently old spirits are lingering around this place. We learned that the Warsong clan absolutely despises Garrosh, and like the spirits are haunting this place. Remember, orcs have a big cult of ancestors, so they're much more than just memories. It's sort of similar to the Loa with the trolls when it comes to the spirits with the orcs. One of the guys that absolutely despises Garrosh is Vorkskin the Savage, which was a Warsong raider, and also Iskar, which is weird since this is a main universe character that was an advisor to Grom, who was a pretty bad guy himself. I mean, he has a lot of skeletons in his own closet too. However, these guys are saying things like Garrosh taught him that the clan is not built on senseless bloodshed, and that the other spirits despise him so much for the honor he stole from the clan. Now, I don't know what is going on, but I think Blizzard is kinda really going overboard with this. I know, politics aside and the fact that they're trying to make it seem like there are no evil races in World of Warcraft, but I do think this is kinda going a little bit overboard. I mean, Grommash was definitely never a paragon of virtue, nor was the Warsong clan. Also, orcs, based on all the lore that we have from alternate Draenor and like main universe Draenor, they're a pretty brutal society overall. They definitely value strength and brutality, and there is a reason demons pick them out of all the other races to lead the invasion. Prior to Manor, Grom Hellscream was one of the most feared raiders on Draenor that was known for his brutality, and raiding in the literal sense is definitely not something good people do. He later drank demon blood. He did a whole lot of really bad things, and he also drank the blood willingly as well. I mean, these spirit guys are also not really much better either. So now, suddenly we have them talking about Garrosh like they're absolutely in shock about what he had done. Like, this was so out of character for the Orcish culture, like he was completely crazy. I mean, it's like the Orcish society is so detached from violence that Garrosh was like this crazy outlier. I mean, originally when Warcraft was made, these guys were literally made to be like one-dimensional black and white monsters. Furthermore, seeing that the orcs are green, pretty much every orc is implicated in like doing some sort of bad things. There is barely any orc out there that wasn't controlled or evil in some way, and they're very well aware of this and the trauma they hold, seeing that they literally had to replace their homeworld. So it is totally out of character for the orcs to like just blame everything on Garrosh that happened and to pretend like he's the worst thing that happened in all of orcish history. The questline ends pretty quick though, with us learning that Warsong, of course, really despises Garrosh with all their heart, and we bring a part of his grave back to the main universe. The biggest issue with this is, as I said, it makes no sense that they're just chilling on alternate Draenor like they hadn't already established the lore with the planet, and this really creates some big implications that maybe the light storyline was a lie and they didn't really take over alternate Draenor, and who even really knows what is going on with Yrel. Of course, the alpha did just start, so Blizzard still has time to remove this or modify this questline, as it's very inconsistent with the current lore, but if it does make it into the final product, I do think they would have to start modifying other parts of the lore to clear up these inconsistencies, and it would also be a good idea to at least add a bit more depth to the entire narrative around Garrosh. Thank you for watching. Check out my video on how the Nitrous may be returning soon by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Titan lore and Greek mythology that I've recorded on site in Italy by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!